anytime you see something in the middle of the road that's even remotely neat, you stop and you pick it up. Found some padlocks. So we're going to take these padlocks I've found over the last couple months, and we're going to make them mine. We're going to rekey them to a key I have. Doesn't matter what key they really had before, and it doesn't matter if they're locked or not. It's easy. Keep watching. Hey, find another treasure. Check this out in the road. Stay. Nice master lock. We're gonna make it ours. And oh, that's not a ball. I thought it was a ball for the dog. Yeah, it's gonna be mine. We'll start with this one. This one's probably a little more interesting than the laminated ones, but we'll do a laminated one as well. They're quick and easy, same principle. The big thing is to get inside of them first. This one probably had a, I can see some rivets right here, so it's probably kind of a rubber cover on the bottom. It might even went across the back, but it was at least on the bottom. Anyway, you can see this plate, this silver plate. This holds in your lock cylinder. All you got to do is get that out. Just take your grinder and you just grind this little nub right off. Or I was lucky enough and it was already popped out when I got it. It was just sitting there. It's just retained on the top. I think it might be screwed in from the very top right there. This one I can't really tell. Or this one was just had two little barbs and just wedged in there. But just grind off the top and you worry about that later. This pops out. Boom. Well, the whole cylinder popped out with it, but this is the lock cylinder. The other piece doesn't need to pop out. So if it is locked, then we just take a flathead screwdriver. All this does is this little flat right here is this twist when you twist the key, and boom, lock is unlocked. All we have to do is make our cylinder right here fit our key. How to get into the laminated ones? Generally what I'll do, you can peel this off before or after. There's almost always a little rubber decorative ring that means nothing. Let's get our screwdriver under this. We want to reuse it. We'll reuse it. Take that off. This one would be the exact same. And these are just rivets. These are just rivets that go from the bottom to the top. And then just like it looks, these are just pieces of steel. So all I'm going to do is cut them right off. Just chop off the top of the rivet and we'll go from there. Now we take our chisel, our Craftsman chisel here, and we just hammer it in between these layers. There we go. Exactly the same. The lock cylinder right here. This little spring is what actually pushes up your thing. So there we go. Lock cylinder's out. So if this was locked, all we do is we reach in there and you rotate it the same way you would the key, and it just falls open. What we're going to do is access our pin tumblers, our pins, through the top of this. This is usually, they call this like the Bible on the top right there. Essentially, where every one of these little round holes is, above that, there's going to, at the very top, there's going to be a spring. You're going to have a follower pin, and then you're going to have a key pin. And so the follower pins, there's one in every single one. There's a spring in every single one. The follower pins are all the same size, and the key pins are different lengths depending on the depressions in the key. So the notches in the key. So to access this the ghetto way, we're going to go through the top. So all I'm going to do is sand through the top until I start to see them. We'll stop right there. This is brass. It's super soft. But there's a spring in there. I can already feel it. I'm just going to widen this hole out a little bit. Just using a pick. And here comes my first spring. And it doesn't really matter if I mix these up, because I'm not reusing them in the exact position. I don't care what the key set is right now. I just grabbed a 3/32 drill bit. There we go. We have our key pin, which is pretty notable because it has a little round end on one side, because the round end rides on the key. And then our follower pin, which is a security pin, has this little groove around it. So now we need to get the barrel out. and it's just retained by a little snap ring right here. Sometimes they take a piece of the brass and just bend it over into this little groove, just so the whole cylinder doesn't slide out when it's completely unlocked. Then the whole lock cylinder comes right out. Okay, all we need to do is take our key, insert it in, and all these key pins should be completely flush with the top. So we'll just grab a random one. We'll just stick it in, rounded side down. That goes towards the key. And see where it sits. We want them to sit a little bit high with the pattern of key that we have. We don't want them to sit low. Those two are like perfect. And what about the ones that are too tall? Because now that, that won't allow you to twist in the cylinder. They stick up too high. We take a file and we just file those down. All we're doing is essentially, you could do the same thing if you bought like a pin set and you just bought these. You just bought these and you just put a shorter one in there. So all I'm doing is making these pins shorter. It's not making the lock any less secure. So we just take a file, they're soft brass, and we're only filing the top. We're not filing the key side. I'm going to try to be careful that I'm not actually also forcing the key too much. You see how much, this is actually a pretty new key. You see how much wiggle room is in there? Okay, that's really close. We have a couple more things to do. These ones are flush. These ones probably sit just a teeny bit low, but I don't have any other pins to choose from that came in the set, so I just had to make those work. If you only had 3 pins that only worked and you couldn't get another one was way too short, just omit it. Just do 3 pins. These locks, they're not secure in the first place. If somebody wants to pick lock them, they're just going to pick lock them. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a hack, and lock guys are going to hate this. We're going to make a little ramp actually in the barrel for these 2 pins. They're just a little too short, just barely. They might catch, so we'll make just a little bit of a ramp by filing the barrel just a little bit over the top until we take the barrel down to the key pin. You'll see. It'll make the lock work smoother anyway. That's it. Now what that does is, when your follower pin is on top, it just gives it a little bit more room to skip across without getting, because otherwise your follower pin on top would be down in that hole just barely and not be able to turn. So too high, and these pins grab in the Bible. Too low, and these pins grab the barrel and don't allow it to turn. I have made this super sharp on top by filing it. So now I'm just going to roll the top. I'm just going to break that edge. That's it. I'm just barely breaking the edge. Put the key in just lightly. No effort. I shouldn't get any hanging up. Be careful when you're pulling the key back out, because the whole cylinder will come out when the key's engaged. So, yeah. Beautiful. So I have my key pins in there, 4, and then the followers. And now I'll put in springs, but before I do that, I guess I can put the snap ring back on. And you'll notice I have nothing to retain the springs anymore, because the top of the thing was what retained them. All I do is smash the top so it holds the spring. You could also, there are locks out there that just have a little shim that goes across, like it's a little slider piece that slides in and out to release these from the top. And there's just little crimped pieces. You could put a piece across the top of this and glue it on if you wanted. So I got a piece of steel right here out of an aerosol can, just a sidewall. And we put some acid flux on it. Plumbing flux. Help. Get to the front and the back. Honestly, there's such little force. You could probably put a piece of tape over this. Just a piece of Scotch tape or something over the top of it. Masking tape. And it would hold it in there just fine. Lock cylinders all back together, minus 1 key, or 1, key tumbler. Beautiful. This particular lock had this in here, like this, and this pin went up in here, and it was fastened. There might have been a screw or something in the top through here. It looks like there's a pin or something. I don't know. I've seen ones with screws on the top. I think this one was just wedged in there. I'm going to set this down in there. I'm going to grind down. I'm going to put a tack weld. If you aren't able to weld, you could easily just put JB Weld on this, stick this down here. You could solder this because this is generally steel. There's tons of different things. You could just peen this over. You could just take a peen and peen this over so this thing wedges in there. I mean, this side right here has a little hook. The hook's under. That's all. You just need to retain that. If you have somebody coming out, like these days, locks are not secure at all. Since they invented the cordless grinder, there is no boron, or is this one boron? Boron carbide. There is nothing you can do to these that an angle grinder isn't going to take care of in 30 seconds. Grind that down. Okay, this master lock right here, about the same. I wanted to show you the other technique. If you do have a key or you do want to pick lock it. I did pick lock this one originally. It only took 12 seconds, and I'm not even a good pick locker. But I finished this one up just barely. But I thought I'd show you how to extract the barrel if you do have a key or you do pick lock it. And this particular one, we turn it about 90 degrees. Well, this way. There's a little crimp right here. And there's a flat that allows, once that crimp is done, it allows this barrel to slide out. So the entire center barrel will slide out. The problem is I have all the pins, the key pins are captured above the key, but you have all your follower pins up here and the springs still up here. So you get a follower rod. This is just actually a big old nail with a notch. It kind of matches that. You don't always have to have that notch. Sometimes it's flat across the back. But essentially, all I'm going to do is push it out. And this rod is just keeping those pins up in the top and the springs. So this is still under pressure, still loaded. So if you did that, if you were able to pick lock it, and then you just push this out, and then you can just line it up and match your key pins, key tumblers, and get them to exactly where you want. This also allows you, this technique also allows you to, you know, if you put it back together and it's just a little bit rough, and you can still kind of, you know, jiggle the key and get it open, and you want to fine tune it, you can get back in there and do it again. There you go. This one's all done. So this one is ready to go back together as well. There's enough of a surface area that you could just JB weld the bottom back on. You could solder the bottom back on, so welding isn't required. There you go. Nobody's the wiser. A beat up lock is now a functional lock. Pop outside for a second. See, I think I have some locks in here. Yeah, see, this lock is keyed the same. That master, and there's another one somewhere right here. Here's a little cheapo Brinks. That's keyed the same. You can see that I've played around on the bottom right there. We'll pop over here. This truck, I think I have. There's one right here. This master right here, you can see that I've welded up. I did this one probably 10 years ago. I think I have the spare tire locked up as well. Generally in here, my side-by-side, I have a gas can that I usually have a lock on. I don't have it now. It's at home. Doesn't matter. I have them on my gate. I have them everywhere. I have so many padlocks I don't even know what to do with them. You hold your end of the tape measure. Now stay. Stay. Good job. Perfect. Okay, now I need the other direction, so come over here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay, sit. Stay. Stay. Boom. 23 feet. Good job. Okay, come here. Bring me the end. Come on, bring it here. Nope, come here. Look what somebody sent you. Oh no, look at that. Look how many are in there. You get it? Okay, just get one. No, not that one. Drop it, drop it, drop it. Not that one. Get a different one. Leave it. Get a different one. Nope, leave that one. Get a different one. Yeah, pick one. You want the one? I'm just teasing you.